Announcing the arrival of Yang Berbahagia Datuk Nur Yahati binti Awang, Deputy Secretary General, Environmental Sustainability, Ministry of Natural Resources and Environmental Sustainability of Malaysia, accompanied by VVIPs and VIPs. Please be seated. Yang Berbahagia Datuk Nur Yahati binti Awang, Deputy Secretary General, Environmental Sustainability, Ministry of Natural Resources, Environmental Sustainability, His Excellency Jacques Werner, the Ambassador of the Kingdom of Netherlands to Malaysia, Mr. Dirk Tyhart, Managing Director for Control Union Asia Holdings, Mr. Supun Nigamuni, Managing Director, Control Union Malaysia, Mr. Marco Winter, Executive Director, Malaysian Dutch Business Council, Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri, Dato, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, session chairs, speakers, delegates, and friends of the media, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Elaine Daly. I will be your MC for today's amazing event that's going to be happening. And on behalf of the organizers, I'd like to say a very big thank you to each and every one of you for taking your time out and for being with us here today. And a very warm welcome to the opening ceremony of the Sustainable Action Conference 2025. Can we have a big round of applause, please? SAC 2025 is set to promote a sustainable future together, raising awareness, overcoming challenges, showcasing solutions, sharing success stories, and fostering collaborations for a sustainable tomorrow. We'd also like to take this opportunity to thank our organizer and principal sponsor, Control Union Malaysia, co-organizer MDBC, supported by the Embassy of the Kingdom of Netherlands to Malaysia, gold sponsors UOB, TNB, Signify, silver sponsors Samling, Corsair, Climate Natural Partner, Saxon Renewables, Strategic Innovation Partner, Carbon Space, Sustainable Token Partner, Nature Loop, Sustainable Venue Partner, Grand Hyatt, Kuala Lumpur. Can we also have a huge round of applause for our partners and collaborators? And now, without any further ado, we'd like to please invite His Excellency Jacques Werner, the Ambassador of the Kingdom of the Netherlands to Malaysia, to please deliver the introductory remarks. Your Excellency, please.
Good morning. That's what we always start with. Trying to elevate the level of the microphone. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very pleased to be here and to extend a warm welcome to Yang Berbahagia Datuk Nur Yahati bin Awang, Deputy Secretary General, Environmental Sustainability, Ministry of Natural Resources and Environmental Sustainability. Mr. Dirk Tyhart, Managing Director for Control Union Asia Holdings. Mr. Supun Nigamuni, Managing Director, Control Union Malaysia. Marco Winter, Executive Director, Malaysian Dutch Business Council. Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri, Datuk. We would acknowledge the presence of YB Wong Chen, if he's here. He is. Chairman of the Parliament's International Relations and Trade Select Committee. Your Excellencies, distinguished guest session speakers, chairs, speakers, delegates from Friends of the Media, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure for me to greet you here today on the occasion of the Sustainable Action Conference 2025 by Control Union in conjunction with the MDBC MISA Awards. The theme of this year's conference could not be more fitting. The future is now, accelerating sustainable transformation. Actually, we meet at a moment that the 10 warmest years on record have all occurred within the last decade. Global warming poses serious threats to our environment, health, economies, and livelihoods. Tragically, those who have contributed the least to climate change are often the ones most affected. Even at current levels of warming, we are already witnessing devastating impacts. Here in Malaysia, but also in my country, across the globe, in the Netherlands, heavier and more frequent rainfall and droughts are clear warnings. To avoid the most catastrophic consequences of climate change and to safeguard a livable planet, we must act now. Inaction will not only burden our generation, it will multiply the hardships faced by those who come after us. The price of doing nothing is far greater than the price of acting boldly today. The science is unambiguous. Any hope of limiting temperature rise to 1.5 degrees requires achieving global net zero emissions by 2050. To reach that goal, humanity must strengthen cooperation, transparency, and accountability at all levels. Every city, region, industry, financial institution, and company must contribute to the solution. That's why today's conference is so important. It provides a platform for leading players from both the public and private sectors to raise awareness, share knowledge, and engage in meaningful dialogue on sustainability trends and challenges. Together, we can co-create solutions, build sustainable value chains, foster climate-resilient investments. Around the world, businesses are seizing opportunities created by the growing demand for sustainable products and services, while also recognizing the benefits of resource efficiency, circular economy, and smarter energy use. They show us it pays to stay ahead of the curve. But businesses alone cannot succeed. Every country must deliver and play its rightful part. International cooperation is key in combating climate change. By providing knowledge, expertise, and technology, the Netherlands can support countries and communities by co-creating solutions for global climate action. At the embassy, here in Malaysia, we also try to practice what we preach. From the 13th until the 15th of October last week, the embassy, together with the Malaysian Ministry of Natural Resources and Environmental Sustainability, has organized a workshop on climate resilience through nature-based solutions for ASEAN member states. However, we also celebrate smaller milestones. Small steps matter. Earlier this year, the embassy staff participated in a green IT awareness workshop, and our internal mission sustainability committee is working hard to reduce the emissions of the embassy itself. Ladies and gentlemen, by exchanging best practices and learning from each other's experiences, we can deepen our understanding and enhance our strategies for building a climate-resilient future. My hope is that this year's Sustainable Action Conference will encourage you to collaborate, innovate, and put climate action at the forefront of our discussions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for the introductory remarks. And now, ladies and gentlemen, before we move on to the welcome address, let's watch a short video of the services of Control Union Malaysia.
In the fast-moving world of international supply and value chains, we face big challenges. Big challenges that, when understood, can be made smaller, more manageable. At Control Union, we take a more rational approach to make this happen. We look at the how, the why, the when, and the where. We question not just what can be done to solve problems, but how to prevent them. That means not just doing, it means thinking, taking ownership, and innovating. If we change the way we view the world, we have the opportunity to see things differently. Growing population, globalization, pressure on crop yields, food safety, sustainability, and amplified social and ethical standards have all put pressure on companies to perform better, with greater emphasis on transparency, traceability, and compliance in the way they operate across the supply chain from raw material to the end user. The key challenge facing commodity industries today is to meet the need for a set of common standards for worldwide operations in commodity inspections, certifications, collateral services, industrial inspections, and logistics, and to achieve it in an environment where local regulations and conditions vary widely from country to country. Our people have a wealth of experience and knowledge which has been built up over many years, and they are our greatest asset. They understand our business and, more importantly, the needs of our customers, and they have helped us develop Control Union into a global, decentralized entity. But what do we mean by that? We mean that we have become a cohesive organization where people are valued and empowered, and where everyone has a voice. Control Union people are encouraged to use their unique local experience and knowledge to find and deliver the best service solutions, serving our multinational clients both domestically and globally, constantly finding the right solutions in a complex, dynamic, and changing world. With offices in over 70 countries, Control Union has unrivaled experience across commodity supply chains. All in all, this means that with Control Union as your preferred partner, you can be sure you're working with a multinational team of specialists with the knowledge and experience to deliver sustainable, profitable relationships that can mitigate risk and provide greater operational efficiencies. Quite simply, we are responsive to our clients' needs and deliver quick results to save time. When it comes to global supply and value chain stewardship, we are the trusted specialists. We are Control Union.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Short video of the services of Control Union Malaysia. And now, without any further ado, may I please invite Mr. Supun Nigamuni, Managing Director, Control Union Malaysia, to please deliver the welcome address. Thank you.
Selamat pagi dan selamat datang. Good morning, everyone. It gives me great honor to welcome our distinguished guests, Yang Prabhagya Datuk Noor Yahati bin Awang, Deputy Secretary General, Environmental Sustainability, Ministry of Natural Resources and Environmental Sustainability, NRES. His Excellency Ambassador Yap Buana, Ambassador of the Kingdom of the Netherlands to Malaysia, Mr. Dirk Tijert, Managing Director and also Vice Chairman for the Royal Peterson Control Union Group, Mr. Marco Winter, Executive Director of the Malaysian Dutch Business Council, to our partners, sponsors, members of media and delegates joining us from across Malaysia and around the world, both physically here at Grand Hyatt and through the live stream, which is now, I hear that we have participants from more than 15 countries joining in across the world. Selamat datang to the Sustainable Action Conference 2025. Why Malaysia need this and why now? Malaysia stands at a decisive turning point As the ASEAN chair for 2025, we are expected to lead the region's sustainability transition, shaping ASEAN's collective response on energy cooperation, carbon markets, and cross-border climate actions. At home, our policy architecture is evolving rapidly. Malaysia's updated NDC commitments to reducing emission intensity by 45% by year 2030, and also setting sights to become a net zero economy by the year 2050. Our 12th master plan laid the foundation for inclusive, sustainable growth, while the upcoming 13th master plan will embed ESG and green growth as pillars of national competitiveness. The energy transition roadmap operates our path towards net zero by 2050 through renewable energy, hydrogen, and electrification. The Energy Efficiency Conservation Act, effective this year, makes efficiency legally enforceable. The National Sustainable Reporting Framework starting this financial year mandates climate and ESG disclosures for listed and large companies through a phased approach, which will have an impact across majority of Malaysian companies who will be supplying to these larger corporates. And in addition, we have in works a new climate change policy, a climate change act, and I hear a carbon tax act also to strengthen the domestic carbon pricing. So meanwhile, the global scrutiny is intensifying, irrespective of the sector, from palm oil to agriculture, to rubber to electronics, on issues like forced labor, environmental compliance, and our climate readiness. Sustainability is no longer optional, it's a price of market access. With Malaysia's ASEAN chairmanship, we carry the responsibility, I think each and every one of us as corporate citizens, as individuals, and it also provides an opportunity to align growth with responsibility, trade with transparency, and ambition with action. The time for transition is now, not tomorrow. Who are we and who made this possible? Although often largely invisible in our day-to-day lives, organizations such as Control Union play a crucial role in making the world safer, more sustainable, and more trusted by ensuring that the food we eat, the materials we use, and the energy we consume meet verified standards of safety and responsibility. Our work contributes to improving people's quality of life every single day. Here in Malaysia and across the world, Control Union has actually been at the heart of sustainability movement, quietly supporting industry exporters and regulators to build trust, trade responsibly, and manage risks. Our impact reflects in milestones that we have shaped Malaysia as well as global sustainable landscape. We designed the global recycling standard, now the world's largest recycling certification, setting benchmark for transparency and circularity of recycled material. We were the first in the world to issue a RSPO certificate, pioneering certification in sustainable palm oil. We developed the ocean-bound plastic certification, preventing plastics from entering the oceans and removing an issue before it basically becomes an issue. Through developing Region Agri, we work with farmers and estates to regenerate soil health and restore agricultural ecosystems. We are proud also to be the first accredited validation verification body in Malaysia for corporate greenhouse gas footprint verifications under ISO 14064, supporting Malaysia's readiness for decarbonization. And we continue to work closely with leading financial institutions, including UOB and Alliance Bank, to decarbonize portfolios, strengthen ESG adoption across Malaysia's financial sector. So this conference is part of that same mission, turning commitments into actions. And heartfelt thank you to our partners, and none of this would be possible without our partners and sponsors who share the same belief that collaboration drives sustainability. Co-organizers, Malaysian Dutch Business Council, our endorsers, Embassy of Kingdom of Netherlands to Malaysia, our gold sponsors, Tenaga Nasional Berhad, United Overseas Bank, Signify, silver sponsors, Sumbling Group, Corsair Group, strategic innovations partner, Carbon Space, sustainable venue partner, Grand Hyatt, sustainable token partner, Nature Loop. and all the industry associations who endorsed SAC 2025. Each of you has helped to make Sustainable Action Conference 2025 not just a conference, but a movement of purpose, integrity, and impact. So how are we driving that change? So this year's conference builds upon our legacy from 2023, when we first staged Malaysia's pioneering carbon neutral and a plastic-free event. And that tradition continues today, proving sustainability is not just a conversation, but a lived commitment. Sustainable Action Conference 2025 is about impact, collaboration, and continuity. The plenary address by Dr. Renard Siu, President of Malaysia Carbon Markets Association, sets the tone by exploring ASEAN's collaboration under ASEAN Common Carbon Framework, building shared vision and capacity for low carbon growth. The sessions that follows will guide Malaysia and ASEAN's transition on decarbonizing Malaysia, on responsible business conduct and social compliance, on circular and regenerative, resource-efficient growth, and digitization and innovation for sustainability impact. We are also launching the Zero Waste to Landfill Pledge, uniting industries to accelerate Malaysia's circular economy blueprint. It marks the next step in our journey from carbon neutrality to zero waste and driving accountability and transformation across the value chains. Our impact continues even through the lunch with MDBC's Innovation and Sustainability Awards, a working lunch session showcasing inspiring stories of innovation, resilience, and leadership in ESG adoption within Malaysian Dutch business community. Our flagship CSR, From Children to Children, embodies the spirit of continuity and impact that defines the Sustainable Action Conference. In 2023, we donated 50,000 ringgit to Blue Harapan to launch Tunku Abdul Rahman Marine Park Plastic Neutrality and Fish Bombing Free Prevention Initiative. And we all know how important Coral Triangle is, and Malaysia lies within that Coral Triangle, one of the world's most biodiverse marine regions. In 2024, our support extended to Dignity for Children Foundation, selected by the audience, empowering Orang Asli youth through education, enterprise, and skills development. This program emphasized that true sustainability includes human dignity and equality. And now, in 2025, we bring the initiative close to home through our partnerships with Selangor State Education Department. From Children to Children empowers school children to identify local sustainability challenges and create practical solutions, from waste reduction to home gardens to recycling and inclusion projects, which is mentored by control union advocates, turning our employees into change catalysts and our children into change leaders. Our CSR journey from oceans to communities to classrooms reflects one belief: sustainability begins with empathy, education, and empowerment. Our children are not just tomorrow's leaders, they are today's change makers. Continuing this impact, Control Union actually goes beyond today. Tomorrow is also a very special day for us. We are adding the missing T in our testing inspection certification through launching our state-of-the-art laboratory in Selangor under the patronage of Yang Berbahagia Dato' Seri Amiruddin bin Shari, Chief Minister of Selangor, and His Excellency Ambassador Jaap Werner, who I used to call our lucky charm of the Kingdom of Netherlands. The laboratory marks another milestone in strengthening Malaysia's sustainability infrastructure, serving industries from palm oil to biomass to metals and minerals, environmental and microbiology testing. It represents the next step in creating deeper assurance for trade, safety, and innovation across Malaysia and the region. Just to show you a glimpse of our state-of-the-art laboratory, which is actually coming up in Jalan Kappa in Klang. So as we open this third edition of the Sustainable Action Conference, let us remember why. Because Malaysia's sustainable transition matters to us all. Who? Because no one can do this alone. And how? Because the real change begins with action. On behalf of Control in Malaysia, I wish everyone an impactful and inspiring Sustainable Action Conference 2025. Let's make today count and together shape a sustainable future for Malaysia and beyond. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Supu Nigamuni, for your opening address. And now may I have the honor to invite Yang Berbahagia Datuk Nur Yahati binti Awang, Deputy Secretary General Environmental Sustainability, on behalf of Datuk Sri Johari Abdul Ghani, the Minister of the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environmental Sustainability of Malaysia, to deliver the opening address and to launch the Sustainable Action Conference 2025.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. A very good morning. Salam Malaysia Madani and Salam NRES Restari. His Excellency Ambassador Jaap Werner, the Ambassador of the Kingdom of Netherlands to Malaysia, Embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, Mr. Supun Nigamuni, Managing Director, Control Union Malaysia, Mr. Dirk ten Hert, Managing Director, Control Union Asia Holdings, Mr. Marco Winter, Executive Director, Malaysian Dutch Business Council, distinguished speakers, esteemed sponsors, partners, ladies and gentlemen. Alhamdulillah, I am deeply honored to join all of you this morning on behalf of Yang Berhormat, the Minister of Natural Resources and Environmental Sustainability, for the third edition of the Sustainable Action Conference SAC 3.0, a powerful platform that continues to unite industry leaders, innovators, and changemakers in accelerating Malaysia's sustainability transformation. The theme this year, The Future is Now, Accelerating Sustainable Transformation, remind us that sustainability is no longer tomorrow's challenge. It is today's agenda, urgent, measurable, and actionable. We stand at a pivotal moment. Malaysia's economic progress must now go hand in hand with environmental stewardship and social inclusion. The government's commitment through the 12th Malaysia Plan, the Green Technology Master Plan Malaysia, GTMP, National Energy Transition Roadmap, NETR, and the National Industry Master Plan 2030 and IMP 2030 all converge on a single message. Our growth must be green, just, and future-proof. I repeat again, green, just, and future-proof. Under the nationally determined contribution, NDCs, Malaysia has pledged to reduce the intensity of greenhouse gas emissions by 45% by the year 2030, relative to 2005 levels. This is not merely a policy target. It is a collective national mission that involves every ministry, corporations, and citizens. As of 2021, we have managed to reduce carbon emissions intensity by 37.12%. This commitment is supported by mitigation actions that have also contributed to Malaysia's NDC achievement, including initiatives related to renewable energy policies, energy efficiency improvements, biofuel adoption, waste recycling, and sustainable forestry management. The NETR, launched in 2023, charts our course towards achieving net zero by 2050. It calls for bold transitions in renewable energy, green hydrogen, carbon capture, and electric mobility, sectors that are not only environmentally essential, but economically strategic. Complementing this budget 2025, which allocates RM 2.5 billion for green financing incentives and RM 1 billion under the Green Technology Financing Scheme, GTFS 3.0, empowering industries to transition toward low carbon operations. The government has also introduced tax incentives for companies implementing ESG reporting, circular economy models, and energy efficient technologies. Beyond infrastructure and policy, sustainability must also be human-centered. Our climate change and environmental policy harmony with Malaysia Madani framework prioritize capacity building, community-led adoption, and youth empowerment. Through programs like Low Carbon Cities 2030 Challenge and collaborations with the private sector, such as today's SSC, we ensure no one is left behind in this transition. The Sustainable Action Conference is more than a dialogue. It is a movement. Since its inception, SSC has been a bridge between government policy and private sector implementation, turning commitments to measurable action. Today's conference features 4 powerful thematic sessions that reflects Malaysia's holistic sustainability agenda. I know this has been mentioned, but let me just reiterate them again. First, decarbonizing Malaysia, exploring energy transition, carbon markets, and renewable innovation. Second, responsible business and social compliance, strengthening ESG reporting, human rights due diligence, and corporate integrity. Third, circular and regenerative growth, advancing waste to resource systems and sustainable manufacturing. And lastly, the fourth, digitalizations and innovation for sustainability impact, leveraging AI, data analytics, and green technology for systemic change. Each of these themes resonates with the government's priorities, aligning industry growth with environmental responsibility. This synergy between public and private sectors is precisely what Malaysia needs to accelerate its green transformation. I am particularly inspired by SEC's motto From Children to Children initiative, which nurtures young Malaysians to become environmental change makers. Empowering our youth to lead sustainability projects is not symbolic, it is indeed strategic. These studies represent the heart of our Madani vision, a generation that is environmentally literate, socially responsible, and globally competitive. Their voices, our children's voices, remind us that sustainability is not inherited. It must be cultivated. The government recognizes that policy alone cannot achieve transformation. The private sector must play a leading role. I commend our partners today, Control Union Malaysia, the Malaysian Dutch Business Council, and the Embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands for demonstrating what cross-border collaboration looks like in action. The Netherlands has been a consistent ally in advancing Malaysia's sustainability journey, from responsible business conduct to green innovation and trade. Together, we continue to build a future defined not by competition, but by shared accountability and responsibility. I also wish to acknowledge our sponsors and partners, Control Union, UOB, TNB, Signify, Samling, Corsair, Saxon Renewables, Carbon Space, and Nature Loop, whose contributions exemplify the private sector's readiness to drive systematic change through investment, innovation, and measurable action. As we move forward, let us remember that achieving a net zero Malaysia is not merely an environmental target. It is an economic reinvention. It calls for green skills, new industries, and behavioral transformation at every level of society. The journey ahead will be complex, but it is achievable. Through data transparency, inclusive financing, and unwavering collaboration between government, businesses, and citizens. SEX 2025 provides that rare opportunity to challenge ideas, forge partnerships, and turn sustainability into tangible economic value. Let us live today not only with inspiration, but with actionable commitments that drive Malaysia's green future forward. In closing, let us remember, the future of sustainability is not waiting. It is already here. The question is not when we act, but how fast and how united we move. With that spirit, I extend my deepest appreciations to the organizers, speakers, and partners for curating this impactful platform, and to every one of you for being part of Malaysia's sustainability journey. On behalf of the Minister with Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, it gives me great pleasure to officially launch the Sustainable Action Conference 2025. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Yang Berbahagia Dato'. If we could please invite you to remain on stage while I invite His Excellency the Ambassador, Mr. Dirk, Mr. Supun, and Mr. Marco to come on stage to join our guest of honor. Gentlemen. So as we begin this journey towards a cleaner, greener and brighter future, we invite our distinguished guests of honor to take part in a symbolic act of change. Now may we please have our three gentlemen, His Excellency Ambassador Mr. Supun and Mr. Marco, to officiate the event by powering the SAC 2025 by cycling with the support of Yang Berbahagia Dato' and Mr. Dirk. Now before you, gentlemen, you will see a row of bicycles, but these are no ordinary bikes. Each pedal stroke represents the power of human effort, innovation, and collaboration, the very energy that drives sustainability forward. And fittingly, this act pays homage to the Netherlands, a nation famous for its cycling culture and commitment to green mobility, reminding us that every revolution of a pedal can spark a revolution of change. May we please have the video?
In the quiet of dawn, fishermen glide across still waters. Their day begins as the world holds its breath, but beneath the surface, change stirs. The skies dim, ripples spread. What was once harmony begins to fade into warning. Forests thin, rivers choke, and wildlife disappears. Progress without balance leaves silence where life once thrived. Factories rise, their smoke towers high above the river. Our hunger for growth burns bright, but the cost clouds the horizon. Concrete spreads endlessly. Lights flash, but hope dims. The air thickens, the streets roar, and nature retreats to memory. When we rush too far, too fast, the world pushes back. The river plunges into chaos, a breaking point, a moment of truth. Our planet is reaching its breaking point. Forests fade, oceans rise, and the pulse of our world grows weaker with every second. But hope lies not in words, but in action. Together, we can restore the balance. Leaders, you have 10 seconds to get ready on your bike. In 3, 2, 1. Please start cycling to increase Earth's sustainability health.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Sustainable Action Conference 2025 is officially launched.
You're almost there. Keep going.
Keep going, gentlemen.
Life awakens. Trees breathe again. Flowers bloom. And the earth exhales. Regeneration begins. Quietly, beautifully, the world adapts. Solar, wind, and water replace smoke and flame. Innovation fuels a new kind of progress, one that heals. Cities turn green, powered by ideas and integrity. People move together, connected, conscious, creating change that lasts. Across landscapes, balance returns. Oceans shimmer, forests thrive, and nations unite for a single purpose, a livable future. This is the promise of the Sustainable Action Conference 2025. The future is now. Together, we accelerate sustainable transformation. Welcome to the Sustainable Action Conference 2025.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, the Sustainable Action Conference 2025
with the Malaysian Dutch Business
is
Council
officially
and the Embassy of
launched.
the Netherlands.
Thank you very much,
Together
gentlemen, for
advancing
putting in the effort to
sustainability.
launch the SAC 2025.
Supported by our key sponsors,
And thank you to our
whose
esteemed
vision
guests for
is
leading the charge. Please do not leave stage yet. Let's keep the momentum going, and as a gesture of appreciation for supporting the Sustainable Action Conference 2025, our guest of honor will now be presented with a token of appreciation by Mr. Dirk, Managing Director for Control Union Asia. Holdings, accompanied by Mr. Supun, Managing Director of Control Union Malaysia. Gentlemen, and our guest of honor, Yang Berbahagia Datuk. All right, can we have a big round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen, for our distinguished guests on stage. We'd like to invite you back to your seats. Thank you very much. And that brings us to the end of today's opening ceremony. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, now we shall begin with the plenary address, Strengthening ASEAN Integration Through a Common Carbon Framework. Dr. Renat Siu is the head of corporate sustainability at Yinson, leading the company's efforts in climate change, climate action and sustainability. He also serves as the president of Malaysia Carbon Market Association, driving the nation's carbon market growth. With past roles at SIMDABI, CIMB, and MRCB, Dr. Renat brings deep experience across corporate and academic sustainability. A Cambridge, UNSW, and Harvard Kennedy School alumnus, he's World Economic Forum SDG champion and a member of the Global Future Council on SDG Investment, dedicated to the advancing climate solutions and sustainable transformation across Asia and beyond. May I now have the pleasure of inviting the presenter, Dr. Renat Siu, President of the Malaysia Carbon Market Association. Big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much to Control Union and for the kind invitation, right, to be here to share a little bit about some of the progress that we have made on the ASEAN Common Carbon Framework. Once again, I'm Renard. I am the inaugural president of MCMA, and it's been truly such an exciting journey to be able to, lead this initiative with a group of consortium partners that are actually part of MCMA. I just wanted to kick off by saying that, when we first started this journey about a year ago, I remember it took us about a few months before we could actually register the Malaysian Carbon Market Association. In fact, MCMA almost became the Kuala Lumpur Carbon Market Association. And part of the reason was because we needed to gather 7 member states across Malaysia to actually have that name Malaysia within the association. So these are our 9 founding partners, presided by Yinson, Petronas, Bonian, Bursa Malaysia, among many others. But as of June 2025, this year, we have since expanded our membership base to about more than 35 members, Control Union as well, being one of the core members here. Of course, the journey hasn't been easy. I think when we first kick-started MCMA, we really went around ASEAN. We first met with one of our former ministers, Nick Nazmi, to get his blessings to form this association. We then, went off to APAC, Carbon Markets Roundtable, where we met with our counterparts in Thailand, and we did realize that they were actually seemed to be a little bit ahead of the journey. They already had their own Thailand verified emissions reduction scheme, but Malaysia, we're really at the nascent journey through the formation of our very first forest carbon offset protocol under the purview of Malaysian Forest Fund. So there were a couple of bilateral meetings that took place, a lot of closed roundtables. We gathered our partners from Singapore, and then eventually Indonesia. And a pivotal moment for us was actually at COP29 in Baku, Azerbaijan. If YB Yahati remembered, at the Malaysian Pavilion, specifically on the 18th of November, we actually launched this memorandum of collaboration with our ASEAN partners, consisting of Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, and Thailand, where for the very first time, we got together and said, when it comes to the carbon market initiative, for Malaysia to go alone on this journey is not sufficient. We actually need to have a regional cooperation. We need to have a tighter relationship among all of our key players in order to drive the growth of our carbon markets. So we signed a memorandum of collaboration on the 18th of November, and what preceded immediately was, a whole series of funding opportunities in order to support our mission. So what exactly, right, is MCMA's mission? I would sort of categorize it into, I guess, 4 pillars. I think our first objective is really to create a vibrant carbon market ecosystem. So as I mentioned earlier, Malaysia is at the nascent stage, but there's so much more that needs to be done, right, to accelerate supply and demand of carbon credits in order to get financing to support carbon projects, to de-risk some of the earlier investments that a lot of people have highlighted as common barriers towards actually growing the carbon ecosystem. Secondly, I think we wanted to contribute to national policies. So, there's been a lot of conversations on the climate change bill, Dasar Pasaran, Carbon Kebangsaan, DPKK. MCMA's role is really to consolidate, right, a lot of the industry sector voice and to feed that back into our government's formulation of such policies. Talent development is also important. I think I need to say that at the start of the journey, when MCMA was formed, we almost became a call center. A lot of people started calling us saying, I've got 5 durian trees behind our orchard. How can we actually claim carbon credits for it? So there was a lot of educational awareness, right, and capacity building that needed to be done in order to elevate the understanding of how the regime and mechanism of carbon markets work. And I guess our 4th mission here is really to, ensure that there is much closer and tighter collaboration among all. So for MCMA, we have been leading the ASEAN Common Carbon Framework Steering Committee meeting among industry sector players this year. To date, I think we have already engaged close to more than about 1,000 different stakeholders, not just from industry sectors, different government agencies, and also with civil society organizations. And this is something that I think, we are very proud of. But maybe to take us a little bit, a couple of steps back, right, on the genesis around why is there a need for a common carbon framework? Why do we actually need something like this? So as we went around, right, through MCMA engaging with our stakeholder partners, we realized that there were 5 key issues and common issues that were highlighted across the region. I think the first issue was really around the sort of evolving standards and cost barriers, right, to developing carbon projects. A lot of people, project developers especially, say that it's very expensive to actually kickstart a carbon project. It could easily cost about $1 million to get about 7,000, acres of land, right, sort of rectified and validated for nature-based projects. So where do we stand in this space? If cost is going to be a huge barrier, what can we actually do, right, to unlock further opportunities? So this was one of the conversations that we've had. Secondly, as I've mentioned earlier, capacity building was an understanding of carbon markets wasn't really there. So we needed to ensure that there is a very strong ecosystem to support. And by that, it also means bringing, not just standard setters, but also validators, verifiers, those are the likes of Control Union, to share, a little bit about, some of their experience, right, of also validating such projects. And financiers as well have a huge role to play in de-risking some of these projects. There was a strong call for stronger national crediting schemes. So we knew that in Thailand, there was already TIVR. In Indonesia, there was something that they call SRN. They already have close to about 50 to 70 plus different methodologies that have been developed. But in Malaysia, we were at a very nascent stage, right? Starting with the Forest Carbon Offset Protocol. So how can we ensure that there is interconnectivity and less fragmentation across these methodologies? So this has been put forth as a third challenge. And then, of course, at the same time, there were a lot of challenges on the quality and concerns of carbon credits. For some of you who have been following the news, you've been reading the Guardian article, you knew that there was a lot of allegations of greenwashing. Are entities using carbon credits as a license to pollute? Are entities overstating the carbon credits that are being generated from such projects? So these are the ethical, environmental, and social guardrails that we needed to build, right, within the ecosystem to ensure that we don't abuse the carbon market ecosystem that we have designed for. And of course, I guess the fifth common challenge that we have mentioned is also the need to unlock more financing. And I guess I'm really looking at the financiers and bankers in the room, because we do need your support, your role to come in to actually help us grow the carbon markets. It's not going to happen by itself. And the longer that we actually delay action, the lesser carbon that we'll be, mitigating, and the ultimate goal of hitting 1.5 degrees Celsius, if we're still sticking true to that, isn't going to happen. So, Fatih Barol, the International Energy Agency Executive Director, actually made a statement saying that, there's actually no net zero without carbon markets. So this is where we think, the importance of this lie. And of course, just wanted to say that ACCF as a conceptual framework is not something that we are starting completely, from scratch. We're actually building this from the ASEAN strategy for carbon neutrality that Indonesia had proposed. You can see specifically on pillars 4 and 5, the goals is actually to create and develop an interoperable carbon market. And then pillar 5, to develop common and credible standards. Now, just wanted to caveat that this word interoperability is actually a very big word. It means different things to different people, depending on who you're actually speaking to. But essentially, our goal here is to make sure that there is greater liquidity of carbon credits. So Malaysian carbon credits, hopefully at some point in time, we would be able to actually sell it across the ASEAN region to, not just Singapore, but Indonesia, Thailand, to create, right, a greater demand, right, for our carbon credits. So I think that's really the spirit of interoperability. And if you ask me, what are some of the aspirations of the ASEAN carbon market, I think we can essentially boil it down to 4 key objectives, right? I think the first objective is we want to unlock the potential, right, of carbon project opportunities. We all know that carbon credits don't just come from nature-based, but also tech-based solutions. And I think that is one part of the conversation that, I think we have yet to unlock. But if you think about it, in Malaysia, there's just so many opportunities from, some of our biogas plants in the palm oil sector. We are already exploring the potential of CCUS, carbon capture, utilization, and storage. Where are the conversations heading to, right, at its tail end? When you're able to store carbon, there are also credits that can actually be generated. And there are also conversations on a global basis talking about potentially transition credits, the phasing out of coal-powered fired plants. But the phasing out alone isn't going to happen on its own, right? The credits that you generate can actually be sold for a certain revenue in order to compensate, right, developing countries for the earlier phase out, of course. So a lot of these conversations are really evolving. And what is quite key, I believe, right, in our carbon markets is that we have to unlock opportunities. We need to reduce costs of implementation of such carbon projects. We need to be able to support mutual recognition of national and independent standards. So currently, 70 to 80% of our global carbon projects, right, are dominated by RERA and Gold Standard. But it doesn't mean that national crediting schemes, right, are in any way, right, of lesser quality. And I think that is something that we need to be able to defend. Taking on some of the lessons from the palm oil industry in the past, you have RSPO, the Roundtable of Sustainable Palm Oil. But even in Malaysia, we have our own standards, the Malaysia Sustainable Palm Oil. And it took years and decades in order to build up integrity and reputation through that process. And we need to be able to defend, right, what's right for Malaysia and our region. I think already, if you look at some of the momentum in the EU, there's already a lot of talk on the carbon border adjustment mechanism. The pendulum has swung, towards what we call removal-based credits. But in Malaysia and the ASEAN region, there is still a need for reduction-based credits, and we need to ensure that our voices are heard, right, on the stage. So the Common Carbon Framework, just in summary, again, I think there are 5 components. We are trying to unlock localized methodologies, have more projects that are utilizing these methods. We will not compromise on high quality credits. So, we are working very closely with some of the meta standard setters out there, like the Integrity Council of Voluntary Carbon Markets Initiative. They have spelled out what are some of the core carbon principles that need to be adhered to. Additionality, permanence, no double counting. We need to make sure that we continue to adhere to all of these high standards that are out there. We need to foster mutual recognition. So this is where I think we need both public and private sector closer cooperation to make sure that our methodologies like FCO are accepted regionally. And hopefully through that process, we'll be able to grow a talent pool of validators and verifiers who are familiar with the region's unique context. And of course, the last element is the linkage, right, to compliance market. There's currently a lot of conversations that perhaps we should remove, right, the word voluntary and compliance altogether from carbon markets, because they actually, at the end of the day, right, should converge. So a lot of projects that are generating carbon credits, eventually they have a potential for us to link it up to the emissions trading scheme if this were to happen, right, in the context of Malaysia. And of course, we have a timeline. So, starting with phase 1, for the ACCF, one of the key things that we're trying to do is really to develop a higher supply of carbon credits. Phase 2 is actually to link up, the ASEAN carbon market ecosystem. And then phase 3 is really moving towards, an interconnected and interlinked emissions trading scheme, which a lot of you have probably already heard about. And yeah, I'll probably just end with this slide by saying that there's a lot of work that has already been put in place. MCMA is taking lead, in trying to make sure that this ACCF deliverable is endorsed during our ASEAN chairmanship year. And, moving into next year, we'll be passing on the baton, hopefully, to the Philippines and then Singapore eventually. But we really need your support to make this happen. Once again, I think the net zero goal will not, we'll not be able to achieve that without leveraging on the carbon markets. And with that, I end my presentation. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Renard. And now, may I have the pleasure of please inviting our guest of honor, Yang Berbahagia, accompanied by Mr. Supun, to present a token of appreciation to Dr. Renard. Now, this token of appreciation is very special, ladies and gentlemen. It's crafted by Nature Loop from upcycled agricultural byproducts, and this token embodies Malaysia's spirit of circular innovation and responsible craftsmanship. Each piece stands as a testament to sustainability, thoughtfully created to honor our shared commitment at the SAC 2025. A big round of applause, and thank you very much, Dr. Renard. Thank you very much, Yang Berbahagia Dato'. Thank you, Mr. Supun.